Coming to you live from the fabulous MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a St. Clair College journalism presentation.
Hi, I'm Kirsty Ridsdale, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. Last week, it was reported Windsor had the highest unemployment rate in the country. Skilled trades continue to be an area where jobs are scarce. Melissa Russo has the story.
Some high school students believe they are the solution for constructing our future. W.F. Herman secondary students held a press conference December 4th for members of the community in response to the media's recent coverage on the skilled trade job shortages in Southern Ontario. Students and teachers explain how they are solving the issue through their Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. The process begins in grade 10 and continues through their college careers. Students work full-time in local manufacturing shops while earning high school credits at the same time. Director of Business Development at the Windsor-Essex Economic Development Corporation, Tracy Pringle, said it's difficult for her department to attract and support local companies when they don't have enough skilled people to work there.
We've done a recent survey of our manufacturing industry. Of the 57 companies that responded, we have over 70 positions open, 60% of which have been open for over 7 months. The cost of this to our economy is about $35 million a year just among those companies in terms of production shortages, not being able to take on new work, turning away work, having to outsource work, and pay for machines that nobody's running.
A grade 11 student, Gatlin Shad, said he has the opportunity to work in Mexico through his placement at Omega Tool Corp.
So it's an opportunity. Omega Tool Corp has a shop down in Mexico that we do a lot of work down there as well. It's not a for sure, but it's a possibility for me. Also, Zach, who is on the mill right now, who got the job with me, he has the opportunity as well to come down and work down there for 2 weeks.
Spectators were encouraged to participate in a question and answer period, as well as look around Herman's manufacturing department. Teresa Pruz at MPP of Windsor West attended the event, hoping Herman students can answer to the demands of the city.
When we look in our area, when we see shortages in different skills, apprenticeships and trades are a great venue for students to go down. And really what we were talking about here is how do you increase that awareness? How do you educate people that there absolutely is a market and that these are very exciting and new careers?
27 Herman students will be entering into the apprenticeship portion of the program in January. They will have the potential to earn as much as $20,000 while working toward their high school diploma. Melissa Russo reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
Let's head outside and check in with our weather specialist, Madison Jean.
Thanks, Kirsty. Right now it is 0 degrees out here, and later tonight we'll reach a low of -2. I'll be back throughout the show to let you know what the weather is going to be like this week.
Thanks, Madison. Many people are still looking for that perfect Christmas tree. If that's you, come down to the corner of Victoria and Chatham Street, right behind the MediaPlex where Jessica Breesbraw reports. You can not only pick a winner, but also support a great cause.
And since we know place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. This is what the Downtown Mission and Windsor Business Improvement Association are counting on, as they partner up for the first time to sell Christmas trees to raise money in support of the Downtown Mission programs and initiatives. The Downtown Mission is celebrating its 40th anniversary as a non-profit organization which helps the homeless, hungry, or hurting.
It's a great place. No government funding. All of our money that we bring in comes into us from donations and now from Christmas tree sales. So we're always looking for new ways, and 250 people every day for a hot lunch, and that's a big number for us.
Dunn said 2 types of trees are being sold, Fraser and balsam firs, all donated by the DWBI Association. The trees range from $35 to $55 and are available this weekend from 2 to 6 Friday and 10 to 6 on Saturday. Miss Southern Ontario 2012, Yara Jarb, has been volunteering for the Downtown Mission since October and is helping sell the Christmas trees.
It's a family tradition for all of us to come and decorate the tree together, but this year I have my own house, so I'll be taking a tree home with me and decorating it myself.
The trees range from $35 to $55 and are available this weekend from 2 to 6 Friday and 10 to 6 on Saturday. Whether you need a 4-footer or an 8-footer, there's something for everyone. I'm Jessica Brisebois for MediaPlex News Now.
Holidays and festive occasions are time when decorating and food preparation play a big part of our lives. Today, we are featuring a special segment entitled Ted Farron on Food. And to guide us through is our host, Melissa Russo.
Welcome to another segment of Ted Farron on Food. I'm your host, Melissa Russo. Today we're going to be talking about everything to do with holiday preparations. So Ted, what do we have here?
Well, we've got an array of different cuts of meat that people usually serve at holiday times, whether it's Easter, New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever. So we covered everything. And I'm going to give you some ideas on what to serve at these different festive times.
Okay.
But the first thing I want to talk about today is safety. I've found over the years, I've heard many stories about accidents that happen because people are a little negligible about things in the kitchen. So
Absolutely.
I want to make them aware of it. Number one, when you're serving hot food and working, there's a lot of people and there's a lot of activity around, keep the kids and the pets out of the kitchen. Just have that off limits. Another thing that there's a lot of is bad accidents happen as far as people cutting themselves. So one of the things I'm going to suggest at the beginning here is a safety glove. And these safety gloves are just worth their weight in gold. They'll save you from some bad cuts. They also act as an oven glove as well. But you want to make sure that you have your safety glove. When you're working with sharp knives and so on, that's very, very important. The next thing is knives. A lot of people, when they're doing a meal, they'll have a knife that's not sharp.
Okay.
So I want to give you a couple of tips on sharpening knives and keeping them safe, okay? Because a dull knife will go anywhere it wants. A sharp knife will go where you want it to go. And number one rule is when you buy a set of knives, make sure that the steel is longer than the steak knife.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, Melissa, that you don't want to run out of steel before you run out of knife. And here's an example. We start at the top of the steel and we go down so that it clears. But if the steel is shorter, you can see that you could go down and cut yourself. Okay? Now, in keeping a knife sharp, number one is you got to start with a sharp knife. So when you buy your knife, make sure it's sharp and buy a steel with it. And then to maintain the edge is what you do is there's 8 strokes. There's 4 across the bottom. You put it on a little angle and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Not a lot of pressure because it's sharp already. And then the top of the steel with the back of the knife. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you're alternating sides every time?
That's right.
Okay.
And that'll keep that knife nice and sharp. And that is so important, especially when you're doing things like root vegetables and so on. You want to make sure that you always cut your carrots and your turnips and your hard vegetables with the last 2 inches of the knife. It has the most steel on it, and it'll hold the edge the longest by doing that. You'll see chefs doing that all the time with the back part of the knife. The boning knife is the same way, the small knife. 8 strokes, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll keep it nice and sharp. And don't abuse the knife. Don't have the knife for cutting down weeds in the garden or so on. Have a knife that you're going to have strictly for this, okay?
Yes.
All right. Another thing that I want to talk about with safety is moving your turkey or your heavy hams or so on from the oven to the table, okay? A lot of people will use a pan like this type of pan, but it has a warning in it, inside of it, that says, don't hold it by the sides because it's going to bend. Take all the juice out of it first so it doesn't spill on you. So avoid all that by getting yourself a proper pan with a rack in the bottom with handles that you're going to lift up. Now you can move this very nicely over to the table when the turkey's done, nice and safe, no problems. And now you've got, what I like to do before I make my gravies and so on, is I'll take the pan and I'll put it in the freezer.
Okay. And why is that?
And what I want to do is when the juices get cold in that, all the fat comes to the top. And you can take a spoon and take all that fat right off and get rid of it.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah. A lot of times when you feel bloated and heavy after a big meal, it's because of the grease that you've just consumed. So this is going to reduce all that grease for you by having it like that.
Okay.
One of the problems people have when they're preparing a meal is the knowledge of how to carve. We can take a meal and take it from a really good quality to something inedible or something very tough by not knowing how to carve. So I'm going to give you some really good tips on carving,
Yes.
okay? So let's just put this turkey back over here. One of the products that people have problem carving is a boneless Black Forest style ham. The reason they have a problem doing it is because it rolls. It just won't sit still for you, okay? So what we do is this, is we cut the ham in half. Now you see what we've done?
Make it flat,
We
easier
have
to cut.
two flat edges, okay? Now, when I'm going to carve a ham to put it out, I want to just make it mouth-watering. So I put a nice little plate with some nice garnish on it, okay?
Looks beautiful.
And then with these hams here, you slice them fairly thin, like so. And then you lay them out. Now, these hams are fully cooked. The Black Forest hams are fully cooked, so you don't have to heat them, okay?
So what would you say is the most difficult kind of meat to cut?
That's a good question. There's a lot of different cuts are difficult to cut, like a leg of lamb, for instance.
Okay.
I always suggest to my customers, if they're getting a leg of lamb, is to let me bone it. You'll accomplish two things. Number one, it gives me a chance to open up the leg of lamb and season it inside. And the secret seasoning for lamb is oregano.
Okay.
Oregano is really nice, and a little pepper and a little garlic is really, really nice. And then I fold it back up, and I'll tie it with some string, and then I'll bake it that way. Now the beauty is this, is when you take it out of the oven, there's no bone in it. So it makes it really, really easy to carve, just like this ham is easy.
Yeah.
Like so. Because I'm telling you, there's so much bone in a leg of lamb. There's two sections of bone. From the shank part, there's a bone that goes into the other part, the sirloin part. There's all this bone around it, you know. And you don't want to be fighting with it and trying to knock it off.
No,
so
that's messy.
just have your butcher take a few minutes and bone the leg of lamb for you, okay? Now, another piece of meat that people really have a hard time carving is a bone-in ham, okay? If you look at this monster here, people are expected to carve this, and it's just very, very difficult to do without knowledge. So what you do is this, is I'm going to cut this ham right above that bone.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go right along this ham, and I'm going to go right along the top of that bone. What I'm doing is this, is I'm going to I'm going to have this bone, and I'm going to expose the bone in the bottom. And remember, this ham is usually hot when I'm doing this.
Yes.
That's why I wear the safety glove. Now this muscle here, it's easy. It's a piece of cake because there's no bone in it. And then what we do with our smaller knife, our little bony knife, is we take the rest of the bone out. And this is great to keep in your fridge for pea soup after.
Yeah, absolutely,
you know.
for soup.
Sure. And you'll have a little ham left over that you can use for the soup as well. So we're going to take this bone right out. And don't worry about leaving a little bit of meat on it, like I said, because we're going to use it for soup after.
Okay.
But what we've done is this. We've made this now a piece of cake to bone.
Just like the other one, nice and flat.
Yeah, nice and flat. So we just, let's see. And you can't imagine how much easier this whole thing is doing it this way than trying to carve it with that bone in it. Can you imagine trying to go around that bone?
No, I couldn't.
You know, you can't. So I lay that out.
That looks really good.
That look nice, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you can also garnish it with some pineapple. Some fruit is really nice in garnishing.
What kind of glaze could you put on it?
Well, you could make a glaze on it and put it on it. Now, I'm going to show you another ham that's glazed already that's very, very nice. That's our honey baked ham that we have over here. Now, the honeybee hams that we have in Windsor here are just excellent. And it's easy to carve. That's the beauty of those hams. Okay? Now, we can take this and slice it again through here so they're more individual portions.
Yep. So Ted, is there anything else that we should know about safety in the kitchen, like allergies? Just quickly touch on that.
Yeah, we briefly touched on it, but allergies is very, very important. There's so many allergies out there today, Melissa. We get calls all the time. Is there weed in your sausage, and so on? And is the shellfish close to the ground meat? People don't even want anything near where their allergies are based from.
Right.
So we make sure that we have those items that have a high allergy amount separate from the rest of the meat.
Right, and just know your guests. That's basically what
Right.
it is.
And know your ingredients. Like when you're buying, say if you're going to make some homemade sausage, okay? Make sure that the ingredients in there are something that you can all enjoy.
Perfect.
Because the last thing you want is just somebody to get sick on everything.
Okay. So this has been a segment of holiday preparations with Ted Farron, and I'm your host, Melissa Iruso.
Let's head back outside with Madison Jean to see what the weather is like. Madison?
Did you know that the highest recorded temperature for Windsor in December was 19 degrees back in 1993, and the low was -23 back in 1983? Now, we probably won't be breaking any records this week, but let's go ahead and check out the weather. Wednesday, it's going to be mostly clear with a high of 3 degrees Celsius and a low of -2. Thursday will be sunny with a high of 5 and a low of -1. And Friday, we'll get all the way up to 6 degrees and we'll see a low of -1. Now, if you're looking for something fun to do this week, a St. Clair Christmas will be held December 12th to the 15th at the Chrysler Theatre. This event will be featuring music theater and entertainment technology students from the corner of Victoria and University. This has been your weather. I'm Madison Jean. Back to you, Kirsty.
Not so fast, Maddie. Since it's your birthday, we wanted to help you celebrate.
Happy birthday, Maddie.
Thank you.
In the 70s, Hilary Payne was Windsor's Director of Engineering. Now he is counselor for Ward 9. Our own Tom Morrison had a chance to sit down with him on another edition of 5 Minutes With.
Hi, I'm Tom Morrison, and we're going to spend 5 minutes with Ward 9 Counselor Hilary Payne. As someone who has been involved in city administration for quite a while, how has Windsor changed in that time?
I think it's changed in two major ways. One is that we had a one-industry town, the auto industry. That's really changed, and the challenge for Windsor now is to develop new and different industries, new and different commerce. And the second major change, which I really notice, because I came here in 1969, is the unfortunate decline of downtown, where the shopping has moved away to the suburbs, to the malls, etc. I think we're seeing a resurgence now in downtown. Things are going to get better, but for a long time, downtown was in a decline, and that was unfortunate.
And what are the main challenges facing Windsorites today?
The major challenge is undoubtedly the matter of jobs. Okay, in other words, the sad thing is that a lot of young people are still leaving Windsor because they can't find employment here. That's very bad, because then the average age of the people in the city will rise. Most important thing is to get jobs not only for young people but for people of all ages, and to get it tracks back to what I mentioned a moment ago, the need for diversification of industry and commerce, and generally to upgrade the job opportunity situation in the city. That is that's a major challenge, really. Otherwise, we have things pretty good in Windsor, but that's a challenge that is being met, but will have to be met more.
And what would you like to see get done in your ward by the end of your term as councillor?
Ward 9 is the largest ward in the city. It's in the southeastern part of the city. It's made up pretty well half of urban and half of rural, which is unusual. It's the only ward like that, but it suffers from a major lack of community facilities. It doesn't have a library, doesn't have a pool, and it doesn't have a lot of things that all communities should have. So we are improving that already. We're getting a new splash pad into the ward this coming year. We're improving other community facilities as well, and I'm hopeful that that will continue. One major change I'd like to see is the conversion of the Queso rail line, the Canadian Southern Line, which runs behind the mall. I'd like to see that transformed into a recreational trail, but unfortunately the trains are still running on that, Tom, so we can't do it. But I'm hopeful that we'll make some progress on that before the end of this current term in December of 2014.
And you recently hosted a meeting for your ward. What are some of the concerns your residents have?
Well, I'm pleased to say that they didn't bring up very many concerns, because when I was elected in December of 2010, I was confronted with a large number of complaints and issues, and I must say I've been working on those ever since. and answering individual complaints and also general complaints. And as a result, issues and complaints now have gone down to a fairly low level. But as I said a moment ago, there is still that problem with the lack of community facilities. And that, by the way, in turn has got a connection with the young people, as I mentioned, leaving the city. Because if they don't have recreational opportunities, young people especially will go somewhere else. So I'm hoping for more community facilities in the city, and I'm especially hoping for the conversion of the Queso rail line into a recreational trail, which would go right from the city limits, the south city limits, all the way to downtown. Unfortunately, the trains are still running on that, so we can't do it yet, but I certainly hope that will happen before the end of this current term.
Okay. And we've talked about the Grace Hospital site before. What do you think about the city's purchase of it and the plans to demolish
I think it's great. I think I was very much in favour of that because it was going nowhere. The private sector apparently was not prepared to deal with it, and it was just becoming an embarrassment for the city, and it was also affecting all along University Avenue too. It just looked awful, and especially in the condition it was in. So I think that's a very good move. What we need to hope for now is that the city will find a buyer for it. The city will very likely demolish it with a lot of assistance from the province, and then we hope to find a buyer for the site to bring, again, jobs, I mentioned before, and new assessment onto University Avenue.
What would you like to see put in place of it?
I'd like to see whatever is compatible with University Avenue. It could be residential. That would be nice, because that's another major problem that we have in downtown is the lack of people living here. So a residential facility would be good, but it could be a commercial facility as well. I don't think it will be industrial. That wouldn't probably fit very well there, but maybe it could. But certainly residential or commercial, and whatever will generate jobs and also assessment for the city. And with the economy on the upswing now, I think there's a pretty good chance that the city will be able to dispose of that site as soon as the buildings have been demolished.
Thank you, Hillary. I'm Tom Morrison, and you've just spent 5 minutes with Ward 9 Councillor Hillary Payne.
It has been 87 days since the NHL locked the doors on its players, and games up until December 30th have been canceled. However, that doesn't keep Windsorites from enjoying a charity game involving nearly 40 NHLers last weekend. Rob Bennion heads to the ice to bring us this report.
Hockey fans in Windsor couldn't wait to get a taste of NHL action. They lined up at the WFCU Center wearing their favorite jerseys to get autographs from the 36 NHL players in attendance, including Red Wings defenseman Jonathan Erickson, center Justin Abdelkader, and assistant captain Nick Cronwall. Proceeds from Rock Out the Lockout went to Sparkles from Above, a non-profit that assists children with cancer. 9-year-old Jacob Higgins came with his dad and said he was looking forward to seeing Red Wings goaltenders Jimmy Howard and Jonas Gustafsson. He also said the lockout had been tough on him.
Because I watch a lot of hockey, and I can't watch hockey now.
Oldcastle's Kyle Wellwood scored, while Amherstburg's Kevin Westgarth led the way with 4 goals and an assist, matching his career NHL point total.
I might have actually surpassed it, unfortunately. I don't know if I got for better or worse. I'm not sure. If I can use this to negotiate my next contract, I'd be pretty happy.
Red Wings forward Danny Cleary helped to organize the event and was glad so many people came out to support a great cause.
It was just overall a good night.
Reporting for MediaPlex News now from the Windsor Family Credit Union Center, I'm Rob Bennion.
We aren't the only ones at St. Clair College going live. Beginning January 9th, the Saints varsity basketball and volleyball teams will be broadcast on Cogeco Cable 11. Rick Dawes tells us more.
St. Clair College varsity sports is taking it to the house, yours to be exact. On January 9th, the men and lady Saints basketball teams will host the Fanshawe College Falcons, and the games will be broadcast live. This marks the first live varsity broadcast for the college in nearly 18 years. Athletic coordinator Ted Beal said the renewing of the partnership between the college and TV Cogeco is a great opportunity to gain exposure for the college's basketball programs.
This is all leading into our new athletic facility that will be opening up during the academic year next year. And that facility will be very well equipped with the latest technology in order to make these broadcasts seamless and very easy for both sides, both in-house St. Clair and certainly for the folks at Cogeco. So this is just kind of a prelude to what we're going to be doing and continuing a partnership and relationship with Cogeco.
Beal also said St. Clair's growing community presence has played a big role in making this a possibility. Not only is administration looking forward to this, but the players too. Janae Grayer, guard and forward for the Saints, said that the ladies are excited, but they're staying focused.
I do. I think it's fantastic. It gives the girls an opportunity to showcase themselves not only on TV, but give their families, especially because I know there's some girls that are out of town. It gives them the opportunity to, their families get to see them play and that type of stuff, and it's exposure.
Both the men and women of these two teams have met already this semester.
They're our arch rivals, so that alone sets a fire in the girls. They're fast, not so much physical, but they can be. They like to play a mental game, and I think if we just play to our best of our abilities and, our fast-paced game and get into their heads and bang them around a bit, we should have no problem.
Currently absent of bleachers and TV cameras, St. Clair's Gymnasium will be the venue for the Wednesday night broadcast. But until then, the teams will be using it to prepare to face off against the Falcons.
New to St. Clair is strength and conditioning coach Rob Maggio. Maggio holds a number of training certificates and will be working with the school's varsity teams to help give them an edge over their opponents.
Well, we're just looking at an in-season conditioning program. We're just implementing some structure for the teams and just getting them going on some patterns so that they can start getting their workouts going on their own. The stronger you are, the more powerful you are, the more results you're going to get onto the court.
For MediaPlex News Now, I'm Rick Dawes.
A local radio station has been making the holidays a little brighter for the needy. Madison Jean reports.
AIM 800 is doing their part to fight hunger in Windsor. The radio station held a charity event at Devonshire Mall December 7th. Helping AIM 800 was the Windsor Professional Firefighters Association.
This is just our benefit fund, and what that is, it's 100% charity. So any money that comes in, there's no administrative costs. It all goes out to whatever the need is. Now, it's not a specific one individual charity. What our benefit fund does is just where there happens to be a need. A lot of times it's an anonymous tip. A family's in need for whatever reason, monetary or otherwise, if there was an incident or an accident at their home, and we will provide money to them or resources that they may need from our benefits.
After giving donations, donors had the opportunity to enter their name to win a prize. On-air personalities Mike K. Cook and Lisa Williams went live at the Devonshire Mall starting at 5 a.m.
The organization that's benefiting from this is the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and we team up with them every single year at this time, usually the first Friday of December. Come to the mall and then encourage our listeners to stop by with canned goods or cash donations, and hopefully they help us out, and they've come through big time again this year.
The event raised over 12,000 cans and over $11,000 in donations. Volunteering with St. Vincent de Paul for over 20 years is Marianne Angus, who enjoys giving back.
Today is a very special day. It has been for a number of years. CKLW has been very responsive always to the needs of this community in many, many ways. But at this time of year, they support Cans for a Cause, and the cans of food and non-perishable items and some of the other personal items that we need to bring to people who are less fortunate in many, many areas around this community. People drop them off here, and CKLW sponsors that and helps us out with that. So it's a wonderful day for the community of Windsor and Essex County to support those who are in need.
AIM 800 celebrated their 9th annual Cans for a Cause. Reporting for MediaPlex News Now, I'm Madison Jean.
You've been watching MediaPlex News Now. I'm Kirsty Ridsdale. Thanks for tuning in.